Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm really excited. I'm going to be recreating my wedding makeup look. I did use this airbrusher so you get to see how I used that and ultimately achieved a fair skin fall makeup look for a wedding. Alright, let's jump right in. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is my primer. For the day of, I used Veil's Mineral Primer. It's oil-free and it also had SPF in it. I knew I was going to be outside all day, so that was important. This stuff has the best texture. It makes you feel like you have the softest skin that's ever existed. It's amazing. For the next part, I'm going to put on concealer, the Airbrush. It actually doesn't do well on top of cream products, so I really only want to add the slightest amount and then go in with my airbrush. For the day of my wedding, I did use the NARS concealer and it worked really well. I've really been liking the Rare Beauty concealer, so for today I'm just going to be using this one. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the airbrush side. This is the airbrush applicator that I use. I'll link it down below for you guys. I knew I wanted a really natural look and I wanted it to look like me so that way when I look back at my wedding photos, I recognize myself. I decided to try and master this airbrush applicator. It's really loud, so I'm not gonna have it on while I'm trying to talk. And that's it. I'm gonna let that sit for a minute before I start putting things on. So now that that's had some time to set, the next thing I'm gonna do is curl my eyelashes. Eyelashes are curled. Now we're going to move on to powder. I have my Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I'm just going to be using my Morphe M438 brush just to get this underneath the eye, and then I'll use a different brush to kind of brush it around the whole face. I got that under my eye. I'm gonna actually use this for one other spot, which is right here. Now I'm gonna go in with my Pro Flawless Light Powder 50 brush. Am I saying that right? I don't know. So next thing we're gonna do is eyebrows. This is the only eyebrow pencil that I use. It's the Estee Lauder Brow Now, and it's in the shade 02 Light Brunette. All I'm gonna do is brush this up. I'm just gonna make a few little strokes up with it. Eyebrows are done. Now we're gonna move on to eyeshadow. You may have guessed based on the palette I've been peeking into, I'm using the Tartelette in Bloom palette. I looked at a bunch of different palettes prior to my wedding, and from what I had read, they said steer clear of any super sparkly eyeshadows. Stick with more of a matte look, and the reason being was when you're photographed, sometimes the flash will interact with whatever is glowing on your skin and it will just enhance it. So you don't want to have too much highlight and you don't want to have any sort of glitter shadow or highlight in your corner, anything like that. I went with this Tartelette, which is primarily matte colors. So the first color I'm going to use is called Flower Child, and I'm going to be using that just as my all-over base. Oh goodness, I've never tried this before. You can see it's well used. I'm going to be using the color called Smarty Pants, which is this sort of like, not really tan, but a little bit tan. Tan compared to me. We are going to go into the color Sweetheart, which is more of like a pinky color. And we're going to go into Rebel, which is just one more over right here. Now we're going to go in with Flower Child again that we started with, and for this I'm just going to use my finger. If you need to, you can blend again over that. I'm going in with Smarty Pants, which is that one right there that we had started with. I just want the slightest amount. I use, of course, the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner. This was consistently the best one that people were saying. Okay, for mascara, for the day of, I went with Lancome Hypnose. So this is like eyelash primer, and then I'll go in with this mascara. Eyes are done. Now I'm going to wipe off the powder, and then I'm going to go in and contour. For the day of my wedding, I didn't want to go in with anything shimmery, so I used the Smashbox Contour Palette. I've also learned recently you can kind of cheat these lines up more than having them down further, and that will make your face feel more lifted. I think I've got mostly where I want the contour placed. I'm just going to go over it one more time, and then I'm going to blend it out. Next, we're going to go in and we're going to actually bronze the face up, which is my favorite part. We're just going to go in the middle, same brush, and we're actually going to cheat this a little bit higher. Okay, I looked at the blush that I used on the day of and I cannot find it. So instead I'm just going to be using the Lancome Blush Subtle Shimmer. The one that I used day of was matte. It was a much paler pink than this, but this is still a good option. There's nothing better than a soft blush brush. I'm just gonna go in with the lipstick called Slow Burn by Marc Jacobs. For my setting spray, I just used the Urban Decay All Nighter. Alright, so this is the finished look. I hope you like it, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.